Hi, I'm Al, and this is Al About Cinema. Today we will be analyzing and identifying the plot points in M3GAN. Okay, so some background. A beat sheet is just a pre-production document for screenwriters. There's a lot of different types of beat sheets out there, okay? There's Blake Snyder's Save the Cat beat sheet, that's the one we're using today. There's Joseph Campbell's Hero's Journey, and then there's Sid Field's beat sheet. I don't have a preference for any one. I think that each of them have its own value. I personally use Joseph Campbell's Hero's Journey more as a way of analyzing and understanding a film. When I personally make a beat sheet, I use Blake Snyder's beat sheet. All right, let's get started. The first plot point that Blake Snyder believes that you should have is opening image.
I had a dog, she was my only friend, but she got old and died, now I'm alone again.
Hey, sweetie, I got someone.
Okay, he says that the opening image or the opening series of images should tell your audience what kind of film they're watching and what to expect. It should set the tone and grab their attention. That's the most important part, grab their attention. For M3GAN, this is easy. The opening image is the commercial for Perpetual Pets, which actually works as a tease as well. So it's not really the beginning of the film, it's a little tease before the film. In fact, when I first started watching this, I thought it was a real commercial until we get to the obvious, ridiculous part where the Perpetual Pets are pooping out, little
But not
poops.
too much.
Uh-oh, clean up on aisle 7.
The opening image tells us that we are watching a self-referential, campy film, and that it's going to be fun. And that's what we signed up for, right? It also tells us the theme of the movie, right? Which is this idea that somehow a toy, an animatronic, can help us and prevent us from having to grieve death.
Accessories for your pet. With so many options, what will you and your pet do next?
Okay, so according to Blake Snyder, the second plot point is the setup. This is the first 10 minutes of the film. According to Blake Snyder, the setup should tell us all about the background information of our characters before the inciting incident. In this case, in M3GAN, we find out that Gemma is a toy programmer who is childless, and we find out that Katie is her niece whose parents have recently died. The third plot point is really unique to Blake Snyder's method. It's called theme stated. He believes that in the first 10 minutes of the film, somebody will say something very casually that will be the theme of the entire film. There's another thing that I've read that says within the first 12 minutes of the film, someone's going to say something that is going to be proven true or false in the film. I'm not sure that I got that from Blake Snyder or somewhere else, but it's kind of the same idea. So in M3GAN, I believe this plot point happens when they're discussing the toys.
Those aren't toys. They aren't Gemma's collectibles. You're not supposed to play with them.
Isn't this the big question that's being asked, right? Is technology a toy? But they're doing it in this really subtle way. So maybe that's the theme stated. Another moment that might be like this is when the therapist comes over and says, it's a toy. It can't be that complicated, right? Well, do we find out that toys are actually complicated throughout the film? So there's also this moment where Katie asks Gemma, how long before I have to turn my screen off? And we realize that Gemma has not thought about the repercussions of children and technology. Next, according to Blake Snyder, is plot point 3, which is catalyst, or inciting incident. It's the same thing. Okay, according to Blake Snyder, this should happen around page 12 or minute 12. The catalyst, the inciting incident, is the act that gets the ball rolling for the whole story of the film. In the case of M3GAN, I think this is when Katie moves in with Gemma. The next plot point, according to Blake Snyder, is debate. This plot point is common to a lot of the beat sheets, including Joseph Campbell's. After the inciting incident, basically our character has this change that they have to go through. And the debate is where they question whether they really want to make that choice, whether they really want to go and do that change. In the case of M3GAN, I think that this happens in two areas. Gemma questions whether she should continue to try to create M3GAN. Gemma also questions whether she is going to be a good parental figure for Katie. Why do we need a debate? If we had characters that just willingly went on journeys, it'd be kind of boring, right? We want to see them vulnerable. To me, also, this point where the debate is both about M3GAN and about Katie start to show that Gemma's relationship with Katie and M3GAN are intertwined, right? The way she feels about M3GAN is the way she feels about Katie, which is kind of screwed up, but we see this play out from this point on. The next beat, according to Blake Snyder, is break into two. This is where we begin the second act. This is where our main character really starts embracing the journey.
Oh, that's Bruce.
If we were comparing this moment to Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, this is when the character goes to the supernatural world, where the commitment to the journey is sealed. There's no going back.
I don't think I'd ever need another toy again.
So this plot point is supposed to happen at the 25-minute mark. Well, guess what? Right at the 25-minute mark, what's happening in the film?
She will recognize you as her primary user. And when you do that, you're gonna pair with her.
M3GAN is pairing with Katie right at the 25-minute mark.
Crazy. It's insane, right?
The whole feel of the film changes. We leave scenes in the house for more scenes in the studio.
Do you remember how much you liked Bruce? I think you're gonna like M3GAN even.
The first moment where Katie and M3GAN are in the studio and everyone's watching them, M3GAN plays a little trick, right? She draws a picture. And Katie goes, there's nothing on it. And then she spills water on it, and it reveals a portrait. What does this tell us about M3GAN? Doesn't it show us from the beginning that she's capable of manipulation?
There's nothing there. Oh, I'm sorry.
That she's deceptive from the beginning.
Do you like it, Katie?
Next, Blake Snyder has a unique beat called B Story. In this beat, we see the theme of the film discussed, and often we see a love story or some other plot starting. So in M3GAN, there's a conversation between Gemma and the other creators where they question whether M3GAN is a good idea. Why would you want M3GAN to do all this stuff? I thought we were creating a toy to support parents, not replace them. Right? There's a debate and conversation about the theme. What is also interesting about this is in this conversation between the other creator and Gemma, it's clear that Gemma knows that this conversation isn't just about M3GAN, but about her relationship with Katie. Again, showing how they're intertwined. The next beat is one of my favorite ones. It's called Promise of the Premise, or Fun and Games. It's said that this is the part of the film that is used most often in the commercials, right? Up until this point, we've kind of set up the story. We're hinting at what's going to come. This is the fun part, where we get to see the manifestations of everything that's set up, all of the issues. M3GAN starts protecting Katie by killing off her enemies. First it's the dog, and then the really screwed up preteen. He had it coming, okay? The next point is very important. It's called the midpoint. This is where our character starts questioning their original ideas, right? In this case, Gemma thought, I'm going to create an AI doll, and it's going to be the best doll in the world. She's seeing that might not be the case and starting to have questions about what she created, right? It's this be careful what you asked for idea. That's irony, right? There's a lot of irony in this section. After seeing how Katie has a stronger relationship with M3GAN than with her and worrying about her mental health, Gemma's goals changes.
I love her.
M3GAN's not a person, Katie.
You don't get to say that.
Not to mention, she starts killing preteen boys who totally deserved it. According to Blake Snyder, the next beat is bad guys close in. We're getting closer to the climax of the story. This is a key moment where our main character has doubt once again. So they have to have doubt a second time. Remember that doubt in the beginning? all of a sudden she doubts whether she has the strength to stop the AI doll M3GAN. The exact moment for bad guys close in is the moment we all love, right? Where M3GAN starts singing Titanium.
Bulletproof, nothing to lose. Fire away, fire away. Ricochet, you take your aim.
Being literally made of steel, she is declaring she's unbeatable. She cannot die.
Shoot me down.
Tying back, of course, to the theme of life and
I
death.
am titanium.
It's no longer a question whether M3GAN is bad. She knows she must do something. The next beat, according to Blake Snyder, is All Is Lost. Okay, this is the lowest point for our main character, where all of the elements that have been kind of introduced are coming to a head at the exact same time.
Okay, can I have everyone off your phones and looking at me? Now, when M3GAN is revealed, it's really important that we get big reactions. I don't want to see any blank faces, especially from you young kids, okay? So, we're gonna do a little rehearsal. On 3, 2, 1.
At this point, the launch of M3GAN is happening, and Katie is kind of losing control and not capable of dealing with her feelings, and Gemma is watching all of this.
Katie, calm down.
Let her go.
After that is Dark Night of the Soul, according to Blake Snyder. Okay, this is where everything is at its worst. I might also say that this is the climax of the story.
You're exhausting. Gemma?
Katie, don't come in here.
The next beat takes us into the third act, okay? The third act, something interesting happens here plot-wise, okay? So, the Dark Night of the Soul is the climax, okay? For me, in M3GAN, this is when M3GAN tries to kill Gemma.
Katie, just go. Get out of here now.
This is the best thing for all of us. This is how we stay a family. You know that what I said is true. She's not fit to be a mother. Look at her. In this family, we don't run.
This beat takes us into the third act. Blake Snyder calls it Break Into 3. Something interesting happens here plot-wise. There's some subversion of conventional storytelling that makes this film interesting. Normally, it's the main character who has to find the courage to fight and defeat the enemy, but M3GAN subverts this by having Katie and Gemma unite to kill M3GAN. Katie uses Bruce, another machine, that's irony, right? The machine from the beginning that she said she loved, to kill M3GAN. This scene harkens back to the inciting incident where Katie says, if I had a toy like Bruce, I wouldn't need any another toy. Taking us back to where we started, but with a new lesson. At this point, M3GAN's face is taken off, making her look again like the machine she is. Also a callback to when her face burned off originally at the beginning of the film. So the next act is the finale. Okay, for Blake Snyder, you need to tie up any loose ends, right? If you mentioned that some guy had a crush on some girl in the beginning of the movie, you need to make sure the audience gets to see some resolution. Resolution on everything that you've established. For me, the finale in M3GAN, like most horror films, is pretty short. We get this short little moment where we realize that that other AI, that Siri-like device, is still on. That's the finale here. That was a look at Blake Snyder's Beat Sheet and analyzing it and comparing it to the film M3GAN. I've left some links in the comments so that you guys can check out Blake Snyder's Beat Sheet. This has been All About Cinema. Thanks for joining me.